Welcome back to Viewertown. Today we're joined by a special guest, Laura. How are you doing?
What's up? How's it going, Mightygerm?
Good, good, good. And also with my co-host Gorilla. How you doing?
Doing well.
Today on the docket, we have a couple of things to discuss. Recent Sorry drama that unfolded on Twitter, along with the Iron Mouse subathon and some of the live streamer comments that followed that.
There's
So
a lot of drama this week.
there's been a lot of drama this last month, to be exact.
Yeah, a month rather.
Yeah. Well, last month too. It's been ever since 2022 started. Stuff's been happening every week.
So, Gorilla, do you want to go over the Sorry thing real quick, just to let our viewers know the gist of what happened?
Yeah. So the Sorry thing is that she had a fan art contest, where you have to draw a picture of her, and she will judge it, critique it on stream. It had a prize pool of $5,000, so it was like actually a serious event.
Yep.
But the drama that happened from it is that she was showing the art on stream, and some people's art didn't get featured, and then those people suddenly got disqualified, and she never gave a reason as to why. And those people obviously reached out just to know, because the thing is, if you get disqualified, you'd want to know. They didn't say anything like mean. Like, they're like, why'd you fucking disqualify me?
I mean, that's a lot of work, right? They're putting in a lot of work to make that art. That's probably hours of work for a piece.
Yeah, and it's a lot of money. So you don't want to just get kicked out of something that could seriously impact your finances if you actually like succeeded. But the thing that happened afterwards was a lot of people got either no answer or a really aggressive answer from her moderators.
Were moderators doing the judging? Do we know that?
Yeah, some of them were actually, but some of them were saying like, the art was bad. Some of them criticized. I think it was just one guy. It wasn't actually like all of her mods that were saying this stuff. It was just one like weird guy. And
it's always weird to me because, like, so many VTubers have this thing where it's like they appreciate all art because someone spent the time to do it for you, right? Saying something like that seems kind of out, pretty fucking rude.
I mean, you said it was just one mod, right? I mean, can you control like literally all your mods and what they say? Like mods are not themselves like the public figures. So what if they just don't know what they're doing? I mean, it happens.
Yeah, it definitely does happen.
Well, she still gets backlash because the thing is, if you have a mod and they're helping you out with this thing, you are kind of responsible for picking like who you're working with and stuff like that.
Or at the very least, like once this is found out, you gotta
you have to
apologize to address it, right?
Yeah. But she addressed it in a really bad way, like awful.
Oh dear.
She said people were unhappy about a free contest, like, and then saying that some people were disqualified because she thought they were tracing. And number one, anybody who's listening, do not address anything that's happening to you like this. Like, don't.
This seems like common tact 101, but
like, don't. Like, it doesn't matter if it's fucking free. Like, are you kidding me?
People though, I wonder what the purpose of the contest was.
I think she really just wanted free art.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not a free contest, right? Because like a free contest, you just like enter and don't have to do anything, like a sweepstakes or whatever.
Yeah, like they spent time on doing this stuff for you.
Like, is it like for community building, exposure through art. Like I don't know. Like what was the purpose behind this? That's what comes to my mind is just, like interested in knowing what it could
Uh,
be.
yeah. Um, but basically, after she like addressed it this way, people were really angry. Big artists publicly denounced the way she handled things. More people coming out with saying like not even with experiences with her, not even related to the contest, just calling her out as like a really, you know, abrasive person. And then people found out more things about one of her mod saying mean words to people. And most people just kind of like dogpiled on her. And it all just nothing really happened at the end. She's too big to care. And she just replied to something, deleted tweets,
I
blocked a
feel
bunch
like
of
that's
people.
kind of a big thing lately though. Is
Mhm.
like when someone makes a mistake, no matter like what kind of mistake, people just dogpile on them, right? Because it's like really
Yeah.
on. I mean, to be fair, it's kind of exposure for those people too, right? To
Right.
like dogpile on
Yeah.
people. So
It did
And
happen.
Twitter is like conducive to this.
I mean,
exactly.
there was like a really recent drama where people just changed their thoughts completely simply because they saw an opportunity to get some exposure for saying it's for by disagreeing with
Yeah.
with
Plus,
what was said.
there's so much pressure I feel on like public figures, not even just like VTubers, but like people on Twitter to like toe the like company line or whatever, right? Like you have to publicly come out and for this or against this, right? When someone like tangentially related to you is involved in some controversy,
I'm a
because
big fan of not involving in any sort of drama because I think, um, like at least the way I see it is that Twitter is like a form of like it's a content platform. I
Mhm.
don't really see it as like a just like a place to like talk to people. So
Yeah,
it's like I think about it like in terms of like what would I want to see from a person that I follow, right? Like I want to know what they're up to, what kind of new stuff that they're gonna do, any new like um short form videos that they're gonna have, they're gonna put on Twitter. I'm not really interested in like their takes on like life generally. So I mean maybe that's a hot take, maybe that's like not what other people want, but that's kind of why I kind of feel like keeping it more related to yourself and your content is kind of what I like.
I mean you're completely right. I mean, I think like Twitter is like 100 and whatever character limit. It's not conducive to having some like long form nuanced conversation. It's
It's
actually really
not.
bad for that.
It's also really the way they do threads is awful.
Yeah, it is just not set
Really
up
hard
at
to
all.
follow any of that shit.
Yeah, but so like the start like like most drama, it just ends up with a bunch like people getting mad on either side, but really not much actually happening in terms of like concrete like
Oh no.
consequences, right?
Mm.
But it did kind of dovetail into some other things, right?
Yeah.
I believe like the bunny gif drama like kind of started like related to something that came out of the Sorry drama. Because it's just
Uh
like a freaking inception of this stuff, right?
well, yeah, because it was just like a denouncing of somebody. So another person just took it to. She was also an artist, so that was like kind of the reason. And she jumped on Bunny Gif, who is Bunny Ayumi, the cosplayer chick, and basically it same like similar ordeal as the later stages of the Samurai thing, where it was just somebody saying, "Oh, this person's a terrible person behind the scenes, and this is here's XYZ screen caps, and here's how they wronged me." Yada yada yada.
Right.
There's
This
like a
was a little
lot. There's
more
like a
interesting to
lot of
me because they're
detail. There's like
yeah.
a load of detail regarding like Layla lost a bunch of money.
Yeah, that was the interesting part to me. Like I lost
Yeah,
20K or something, right?
yeah, it was 20K. It was also her fault, honestly, because she took on that. She took on that debt.
Mhm. Yeah, that seems crazy to me that people do this, but you know what? It also makes me think, right? Do you feel like you have to be much more careful about what you say in DMs to people, even private DMs, right? You have to like think about if it would ever be taken out of context if this person ever is like,
Well, it's not only that, it's you have to think, even if you don't think that you yourself could get quote unquote hacked, compromised account, like what if and literally anybody
Mhm.
on your list could get compromised. And then those things could get leaked, right? So it's
Right.
sort of a disaster prevention. Or you could just not talk shit. That works too.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
never say anything that would, get you in hot water, but you know how people are, they
Yeah.
can't help themselves.
There's a lot of cases where like sometimes I'll have to get like someone's address, someone's phone number. I
Mhm.
just delete it right after.
Right.
I say like, okay, I have it, delete it. Cause like I don't want it in any of it, because we live in like a world where everything is logged permanently.
Yeah. And um so in the middle of that, Admiral Baru, who I don't know his relationship with Bunny Ayumi,
Mm.
but he came to her defense.
He was a pretty famous like Twitch streamer, right?
Yeah.
Got the emotes.
Yeah, he became a VTuber a while back. Basically got but this is also interconnected because he has beef with somebody that was like a little bit involved in the Samurai thing. Diariku. I don't even know how to pronounce that name. But basically they ended up admitting the stuff they did, said it was true. Things again, nothing really like as far as the money, nothing really happened, but it was pretty awkward for everybody involved.
One thing that stood out to me, like this is kind of like just interpersonal drama that gets kind of blown up. But one eye-opening thing was, especially from some of Baru's chats, was how like self-serving they were in terms of like personal relationships, right? They're like, don't like, like don't talk to me when you just want stuff or something
Oh,
like that.
dude, yeah, I forgot to mention
And
that, like the DM leaks,
yeah, and he was like going on
it
other
was very
people's
funny.
streams and like
Right,
saying, don't talk to my community. It's like, I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but it was just seems like very, very self-serving,
well, I was gonna say it just made them all look like psychos. Like even the ones who were like posting the thing, it's like you do
Mhm.
realize this makes you look completely insane, right?
Right.
Like Bunny released this like log of her trying to talk to Silver Rail, and she did not reply to like 10 messages.
Uh,
It's so-
You know what this makes me think of actually is it's a little bit of a tangent, but
mhm.
do you think that like our culture of celebrities and because the whole streaming world is sort of micro celebrity, right?
Right, right.
But in the recent like award ceremony, like you remember when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock?
Mhm.
Like is this just a pandemic of like a mindset that is kind of just people just being toxic towards each other? Like are people like mentally like becoming mentally weak to the point where they just break down and say awful things like so easily? There's no sense of like responsibility of being like the better person or something,
You know,
emotional.
that's very interesting because I think there's a couple of ways to take this. Like one is obviously like, there are shitty people and some, percentage of them will be streamers as well. But I also thought like in order to succeed, it's like something you would see in a lot of companies too. Like the ones that are kind of more narcissistic and more, self-serving, the people willing to step on others move up the ladder more. They end up being more
Hmm.
successful. The person who's, kind of more humble and whatever, they're not gonna get, promoted as quickly and things like that. So
Hmm.
these people kind of percolate to the top, you know, a large percentage of them probably got there by, taking whatever advantage they could get. So when you have a bunch of those people in these, VTuber relationships are kind of like zero sum, everyone's kind of competing over the same viewer base and things like that. It's like it just becomes really toxic, right? Like
Hmm.
That's just my read of the situation.
Like, I do what you have to do to survive is what you're saying, and that
Right.
that that mentality is what prevails over other.
But yeah, I think my like point there is like when you're in this, do what you have to do to survive, and everyone at the like most of the people at the top are that person, right? Then it becomes really toxic
Mhm.
because everyone's just looking for like what advantage they can get over other people, or more like importantly, it's like they don't want to waste time with people that can't provide them value. You see relationships turned into this like transactional thing. It's like, do I want to be friends with this person? Do I want to talk to this person? Well, what can they provide to me, right?
Yeah, I'm taking like 4 hours out of my day to watch this person stream and pretend I like them, just so I can get some of their audience.
Yeah, and as soon as their usefulness, goes away,
All real,
right?
by the way.
Yeah, it's like, it's time to
See,
dump them, time to get rid of them.
I f I guess maybe my experience in general is a little bit different, or maybe it's just different mentality. Like, I find that if you, um, invest genuinely in people, that people will genuinely wanna help you too.
Yeah,
And that's how, like, throughout, like, my career, like, working kind of in the industry, like, getting, um I can get a lot of things done that are, like, really crazy that, like, people wouldn't have access to.
Mhm.
And that's because, like, I've been nice to people and I've invested in a friendship with them, and then they turn around and, provide the same. Granted, that's not gonna be everyone. There's always gonna be the chance that you're gonna, like, invest in someone that does not give a shit about you at all. It's definitely gonna happen.
Right, right.
Right, but, I mean, I feel like, not only is it healthy for your own personal mentality, it's like you can really achieve some stuff, some you can get access to things that you normally wouldn't.
yeah. I was gonna say though, I do think there is like some level of genuineness with all of this. But I think they're just like some of these people are very mentally childish.
That's what I
And
meant with the whole
yeah,
thing with the Will Smith thing. Is it just a kind of a weakening of, like, just the general mentality of people
I
being
think so.
being able to, like, handle things,
I
just
yeah.
very emotionally immature, maybe?
Yeah, because the thing you mentioned, I was thinking about how like um back then people used to be a lot more mutual with giving back to somebody who helped them, and just it being a lot more back and forth, whereas here it's like one person does so much for the other person and the other person isn't really like thinking about you know giving back to that person and just kind of running
Yeah.
away with what they just got.
Yeah, just
I mean, for me, it's almost a cultural obligation. I don't know, like, I was kind of raised in that way, right? That, like, if
Yeah.
somebody's helps you out, you're, like, kinda obligated to, like, help them too.
Yeah, like you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Exactly, and
mhm.
that's just
But
kinda how I
you're
was
also
raised.
you're also older.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it like,
Because like the
goes
thing
back
is,
to this sort of immaturity thing as well.
I think this
Mhm,
also matters more when people weren't so online because um now that everybody's online, it's much harder to hold somebody responsibility because you don't have to see them. Like
mhm.
if I show up to work every day and I have to see this guy and he helps me out and I just don't help him out, that's really awkward. And there's a lot more like pressure for me to be like, hey, do you want to like go eat because you helped me out with something the other day?
Right, right.
Online, you can't really like do that, and
You don't see them. You don't see, like, their face.
yeah, you don't see their
Yeah.
face, you don't see like you don't have like as close of a connection to them.
Yeah,
The
there's just like a
consequences aren't immediate.
Yeah,
yeah,
Mm.
there's a little bit of that dehumanizing, but there's also the thing where it's like you block them and you never have to hear from them again, right? It's
yeah,
not
like
like you're
you
like walking
unironically
down the street or they're at your job or whatever, right? You
yeah,
literally just poof erase this person from your life, right? And never
you
have to deal with the consequences,
legitimately never have to see him again.
right? And I think that like just think about ghosting, like in general, right?
Yeah,
This is gonna sound like kinda maybe a little bit cringe, but I just think people need more gratitude in their lives.
I mean,
Just
absolutely.
gratitude for, you know, things that happen to them and just in general. People are just expect shit, like, "You better fucking help me, otherwise fuck you."
yeah.
How did it
Freaking
get this
weird
way? Like,
culture, man.
Yeah, I mean, I really do think it's the change of culture, and people aren't as grateful as.
And look how everyone acts like it's not even. This isn't even just a VTuber problem.
No, no, no. Like just
This is
like
like everywhere now.
Because everyone's like really arrogant and just a lot more like.
Narcissism is everywhere.
Yeah.
yeah, I have a little like kind of like a related story about this, but
Hmm.
this sort of
Tell it.
thing. Well, it's not direct stories. It's kind of like a related issue. It's like in like MMOs, people often comment that back in the day, we had when it was very very hard to do content, you needed to have a group. It would take like hours to clear a dungeon. Everyone had to work together and so on and so forth. That these communities and bonds and this this gratitude of helping, we're going to all help each other get through this, right?
Hmm.
And nowadays it's like solo. I'll queue up for a dungeon, get matched with 3 other players. If I piss them off, whatever, I'll just requeue. It's that sort of thing where it's like
Yeah.
it's much less personal. You don't need those other people, right? They're just
Yeah, like
like replaceable.
you join up. It's like, do you know how to do a dungeon? And you're like, no. Can you show me? Fuck. Like,
Yeah, it's like no, or
Yeah,
we're just gonna kick them and requeue or something, right? It's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm leaving.
Yeah, like I do think success is a lot more easier to get on. It's kind of like what you just said with MMOs. It's much easier than before to be successful on your own. So you don't have to like
you don't have to build these sort of like
yeah,
relationships.
you don't have to build these relationships. And when you do get that success on your own, you kind of feel you gas yourself up. You're like, if I could do this all on my own, then what do I need these other people for?
Yeah, I'm the shit,
Yeah, like you're the shit. You're
But
you
so
don't have to,
often, yeah, people
you're
don't really
like
do
you're
it
like
on their own, right? Like
yeah.
they've had
People
people
need more
supporting them.
struggle, man.
Yeah, like,
Unironically,
Struggle builds character.
but like the thing is, even in MMOs, once you reach like high end stuff, that culture comes back. That culture comes back, and now you have to like befriend your static and get to know them.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you definitely see at the high levels. Like, doesn't matter how good you are at high level, if no one wants to group with you because you're an asshole, like you won't get anything done, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're just terrible to work with.
But at the same time, that kind of thing only happens in like super small cases like that.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that do you know like the like statistic of people who actually do high end stuff in Final Fantasy 14?
It's like 1%. It's like a tiny. It's like a
Yeah, it's
minuscule
like
number.
minuscule, right?
Yeah.
So that there's that too, where people just don't really want to like interact with other people either. Like they do everything they can on their own, and then they're done.
Yeah, definitely. This VTuber stuff is like it's like a microcosm of kind of human behavior at a whole, but also due to the Twitter and the celebrity involved with people, it just becomes much more public, right? And the fallout's more public as well.
The human condition now. The whole thing.
Oh god.
So after
welcome to Viewertown, the podcast about VTuber guys.
Yeah. Well, let me start like steering this train back on the track. Wait, can you steer a train? No, I don't think you can.
No, you can't. It goes forward, which is what we're doing.
We'll get this train back on the track. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the Iron Mouse had like this huge subathon this past month. Lasted weeks.
Shout out to Mousy.
Yeah, shout out to Mousy. Propelled her, broke a bunch of Twitch records and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is fine and all. We can get into a talk about subathons in general later, but it garnered a bit of hate from some other. Yeah, got a little heat from some other live streamers and stuff.
I don't understand it at all.
Right. So I think we have a clip of one of Iron Mouse's reactions. Can we get that played real quick?
I don't think it's that bad.
Nah, it's just somebody I think somebody like ranted about VTubers on stream and said a lot of negative stuff. So now because of that, we're getting a lot of like influx of people being mean in my chat.
No, I mean, people always fucking salty.
People are always gonna talk shit, and people just talk shit about what they don't understand, and that's fine. It's okay.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, they just want to seem based to their chat, so they're like, oh, I'll make fun of something that I've Nothing, no
They're
connections.
open to their own opinion, you know.
So yeah, I think that was like just in response to some people like invading her chat and talking shit about her and stuff like that, and this weird like schism between like live streamers and VTubers as well has started to pop up a little bit.
I was gonna say who's that guy that sounds like me, but he stopped being cool when he said bass.
Yeah, and I remember like I think Neanders
Heard
made some
music.
comments in her Discord along those
Also,
lines
why
as
do your
well.
music get so loud?
Are you guys gonna play the original clip, the one that started it?
No, probably not. But to recap, Asmongold made a couple of unsavory comments towards VTubers in general, and that sort of ignited a fire between facecam streamers and VTubers, where facecam streamers started kind of dogging on VTubers for various reasons. Calling them like saying that they make them feel uncomfortable, saying their designs are appeal to pedophiles and stuff like that. Just the usual,
kind of like a retread of some of the old stuff. Just because like Iron Man's was getting the spotlight, and it's almost like it's like kind of like tired of your
correction. Quinn69 said stuff first, and then Asmongold jumped, and then Iron Mouse jumped on it, and then Asmongold jumped on it.
It's kind of weird because it's like a little bit of like pot calling the kettle black in this situation, right? Like,
yeah,
these guys are just like I've watched Asmongold, I've watched a bit of Quinn,
Yeah, I like Asmongold. He's like one of my favorite streamers, but these motherfuckers just need to stay in their own lane.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that a lot of the sins you could say that people accuse VTubers of, I mean, the same thing could be perpetrated by IRL streamers. It's just a different like style of the same thing.
Right. Yeah. Right. I mean, IRL streamers has like they have like the booby streamers. They have the clickbait reaction guy.
You have sucking off a microphone.
Yeah. Well, like the thing is, it's not even that. They like their antics are equally as bad or like weird. Because like we talked about the Sakurai Bunny Ayumi thing just now, and those guys those chicks weren't always VTubers. A lot of the stuff that was revealed, what happened before while they were just like face cam streamers, or especially for Bunny Ayumi, where it wasn't until fairly recently she got a model and became a VTuber, and her VTuber personality is also separated from her. I don't think she has an OnlyFans. She has like a Patreon, but like that career. So it's a lot more different than. Or rather, it does show like the similarities a lot closely.
Plus, there was definitely a time where like a bunch of these the live streamers, got a VTuber avatar or something like that, and some of them switched over, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just to clarify, like I don't really care what people do on their live streams, but to say that VTubing is like where it all begins is kind of dumb. It's just a different like method of the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, honestly, if I was someone like that, I'd be happy that they're increasing like, because it's like a lot of people who might not be normally watching Twitch streamers, because I think there's definitely coming from like the Japanese side of things, right?
Yeah.
People honestly weren't on the platform before.
I don't know. There is a lot of bleed over, right? Yeah. Zero sum, like you said earlier.
Well, the funny thing is that like Asmongold, Quinn, and like a lot of these guys that like attacked Iron Mouse, I think for the most part, their audiences are much bigger than.
Oh yeah,
like way bigger.
Yeah, these guys have massive streams.
Attacking them just gives them exposure.
Also, it's like, why are you punching down, right? Like,
yeah,
that also doesn't make sense
down.
Like you guys are different audiences, right? Like I don't think like your World of Warcraft raider is going to be watching Iron Mouse necessarily, right? So
yeah. Hey, some of them might.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, there is definitely a few in my raid groups that watch VTubers enough to create their own containment channels and all that mess. But yeah, it's just like, again, it's like back to like the emotional immaturity, the why would you even do this, right? Why call it like.
Yeah, it was really like because it was punching down, it was just really like cheap heat to stay fucking relevant.
Like you
Because
do
they know,
that
because
for
they
just
know
for like
Iron
the
Mouse.
controversy and the clicks? Like you think that's what it was for?
Yeah, like the thing is, some people are gonna say, "Oh, they don't need that. Why would they do that?" But that makes it worse because now you're just showing how much of like an asshole you are. I do think they were just partially trying to jump on Iron Mouse growing big and like VTubers sort of breaking into the general Bishojo especially trying to break into the general like streaming populace.
Yeah, because I feel like this era of VTubing at the very least is still fairly like new, right?
Yeah.
It's not mature in a sense of a entertainment platform.
Yeah, for the most part, people are still very secluded.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not even sure. Like, it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on this, Laura. Like, what do you think? Like the future, like, what do you think this looks like? 3 or 4 years down the line with VTubing. Do you think there's anything major would be majorly different in terms of like content or how it's presented or served?
Oh, wait, I was gonna add one thing. Nobody would apologize for anything, by the way. So there is like actual still animosity between these people.
Oh, I see. Can you repeat the question again, Mightygerm? Sorry.
Oh yeah, no problem. I said, since like VTubing is like a fairly new thing, at least like this current
Hmm.
like kind of generation. Do you see it like 3 or 4 years down the road? Do you see it like changing significantly? Do you think it's going to be served in the same way, do the same content, or do you think kind of like evolves into something kind of separate than
Hmm.
kind of
I
like Twitch
mean,
adjacent?
it's kind of hard to say. I think it, I think with all of the corporations like popping up, like they just have a lot of resources and compared to like people that are working on their own.
Hmm.
So I think without people like kind of banding together, it's going to be difficult unless you're already like pretty big to begin with. But then again, there's also people that only want to watch indies. So I think that's really the change I see is that like a lot of like the corps like kind of taking a lot of the majority of the market, I think, just with like a lot more of a kind of curated experience, right? Especially like as more people are exposed to it that don't know about VTubers, like they're gonna want whatever is like the mainstream. It's the easiest to digest, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens with so much.
Hmm.
But there is definitely like I won't say a trickle down effect necessarily, but it's like, like many people, I got into VTubers by first seeing Hollow Live and Iji Sanji, and then eventually making my way to the smaller, more indie streamers as well. So, and then people will find, they'll find their little niche. They'll find out what they like in terms of viewers, which I think is also interesting from a viewer point of view. It's like what they want and what people are providing aren't
Hmm.
necessarily on the same thing, or you can even say that viewers don't even know what they want most of the time, right? They can say they
Hmm.
want A, but they won't actually watch A. They'll watch B instead.
Yeah, that
So,
happens a lot where you hear a lot from people that like, oh, I want like creativity, originality. I want like kind of like more produced type sort of content, right? But that's not what people consume. It's just the realities of it. And this is why kind of short form videos are really taking off. They're easy to produce. Um, they're cheap to produce like hours wise, and they get really high views in comparison to like long form content, right?
right.
I mean, that's ironically that's how people used to consume it's consume content anyways through 2-3 minute clips or excerpts.
Hmm.
Do you think that's like kind of like modern like attention span mentality, or is it like, there's so much in terms of content, news, everything that people are bombarded with. It's like you got to make your point in 10 seconds, right? Or people are going to move on.
It's just easier to digest,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
If people don't want to deep dive, people are like, like taking a shit or something, right? It's like I don't have time to watch like a 30-minute documentary.
Yeah, like I just lay it down in bed. Let's see what's on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
Right.
like those kind of like short, fast stuff is really kind of what's in right now.
I mean, it was telling them like, how pervasive things like TikTok are. Like my parents use TikTok more than I do. Like that was That was crazy to me, but it's just like people. That's the type of environment we're in now, right?
It's
And
easy to digest.
mhm.
Yeah. And you're not locked into anything.
You know what that? Oh, you know what that actually? Very very good point. That I guess this is a great time as any to talk about it. Is VTubing or even streaming in general, but especially VTubing can be like hours long with not necessarily jam packed full of action, right?
Mhm.
And then people try to like distill this down to clips and to maybe this eventually makes this way down to like a TikTok or a YouTube video, right? But I guess the Hololive watchers, like I was like a big clip watcher because obviously I didn't speak Japanese and understand Japanese, so the form of VTubing I was exposed to was just the choice bits, right? I didn't watch
Mhm.
these full streams. I just watched the funniest clips that were translated and what have you, right? Do you feel like, with the advent of this stuff, that there are going to be people who just, oh yeah, I watch Laura, but I only watch Laura's like TikToks and clips, right? I've never actually sat down, for 2 hours and watched your stream, right? There's going to be
Yeah.
like an audience
So
like that.
my theory on this is I think that people don't watch live streams specifically for in the same way that they watch YouTube. So you watch YouTube with a purpose,
Hmm.
right? You watch YouTube as like, oh, I want to be entertained right now, I want some comedy, or like, oh, I want to learn something right now. So you look up something, right?
Right.
Watch cave diving videos or something. All the sort of really interesting stuff that like you can't really experience yourself. I think live streams and the reason why people stick around for like such a long live stream, like you'll see people like there at the start of the stream that are there the whole thing, like a full 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, right?
Yeah, that's
And I think that people join live streams specifically for community. I think that's the selling point of it is finding a place with like-minded individuals that you can hang out with and be a part of something.
Yeah.
And that's why like I think community is really important for building a stream.
I think one thing people don't really realize is that if you start chatting in a stream, even in 2 hours or 3 hours, you're talking a lot, and you're talking to this person who's talking back to you, or
Mhm.
other people in the chat are replying to you. So it's a lot of like socializing,
Exactly.
like
plus
way
it's
more
like,
than one would.
I mean, it doesn't have to be parasocial either, right? Like you can
no,
still
absolutely not.
you can still like, hang out and kind of build like a you know, an
Yeah.
acquaintance or friendship with people without it getting weird,
Yeah.
you know.
It's like showing up to a party and then you're just chatting with like everybody, but the hosts, there's still like a host, and
Exactly.
they're doing like whatever they're doing.
So like we watch streams together, right, guys? And like I like to, part of that is the fact that you guys are there. We'll watch a stream together and like we kind of are partaking in the same experience, something that we can share later, you know.
Yeah, that actually really makes me think. So, like, I think that I have like a couple comments on this. One being like the VTubing kind of coincided with the start of quarantine, right? So people lacked the social get together, maybe even to have them in the first place, right? So
Yeah.
these sort of get-togethers on a stream with the streamer and the fellow chat sort of became their social hangout, right? So it's
Yeah.
less about being like swiping through and being entertained. They just want to talk to people and hang out with people.
And then like I get a lot worse. Those people are like, oh man, why don't you go, go touch the grass, go hang out with people like in person. But I don't really. I mean, this is maybe something that people don't subscribe to, but I feel like the interactions I have with people in MMOs online, like I feel like it's like the same to me.
Yeah.
I treasure it the same.
It's also less effort, to be honest. Like like genuinely.
Relaxing. It's not. I mean, if you're not as social, it's not as draining.
Yeah, because
And there's a lot of
if you're going
people.
outside and you're hanging
Mhm,
out with somebody, generally you're also doing something. Um,
mhm,
like the thing is with a stream, you're there with people who are there unconditionally, or rather they're also doing their own thing by showing up to stream. They don't see it as a waste of their time. They were gonna do it anyways. If you schedule a hangout with somebody, then that's like they're taking their time out to like do stuff with you. And it's a lot more
It's more
obligation.
natural. It's like you're walking into like a common room, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, look, Germ's there today, and we can talk about stuff.
Yeah,
Experience the
like
same thing.
you see Germ, you walk over there and you're like, hey, what's up? You know.
Yeah.
You don't feel pressured to like entertain the other person necessarily, right? You can walk in when you're comfortable. You can walk out when you're comfortable.
Yeah,
I think that's very good.
And nobody's gonna really like bat an eye if you know if you're not feeling it that day.
And again, like, I mean, for some people, you know, going out and doing stuff, socially is really draining. But we're all still sort of social people. We want to like be amongst people that kind of share similar interests, so we can like, I mean, what's an interest if you're not able to like kind of
just share it, right?
So it's like, yeah, being able to just like kind of watch a stream, like maybe when I'm working or something, it's relaxing. Like I could do like multiple things at the same time.
Oh yeah,
live stream.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing I do as well. There's streamers that I like having on in the background when I'm doing something else, because it's just like having someone else in the room, just talking or doing something that has this like calming effect, right?
Yeah, it's like TV, putting on the TV.
Man,
like there's people talking in the room.
Yeah,
you brought up something earlier, Laura, about people online, friendships and like real life friendships being the same. I think that's yes, if you make them that way, right? I've definitely met a sort of person who, they may say they find it hard to make friends online and stuff like that, but they don't. Friendship is more than just like, people being in the same chat room chatting with each other, right? It requires a little bit of like a personal, relationship, the willingness to kind of like reach out to them and things like that. And
I mean, it has to be two ways. You can't just like sit there and expect like, well, we have the same interest, so I guess we'll become friends. It's not like that. You have to kind of.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes like parasocial relationships, right? I think that's like the key. It's like these parasocial relationships are like very, very one-sided and general, while like the friendships like we're used to are definitely, more mutual and kind of like people getting to know each other on a little bit deeper level. So
it's a give and take. You have to like provide value in the relationship. Can't be one-sided.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier.
Too. Yeah, as well. That's a big thing that people like. You gotta make time for people. You gotta listen to them. You gotta.
Exactly.
This is gonna become like Dr. Phil's like advice column, but I think it's important because there's just so many people out there that are just having trouble socializing. They're in these VTuber streams so they could like be around people, but some of them just have trouble like turning this kind of passive relationship to a more active one with people who share their interests, just like you said. And
I mean, it's kind of hard because you still have to provide value, right? You can't expect, again, like we were said, you can't expect to like come into a community with similar interests and then just like be like, well, you're gonna be my friend, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like, just sit back and just like friendships come to me, right?
Yeah, it's a you have to provide value to the person. When friendships fall apart, it's when people aren't giving each other any sort of value. And I'm not saying value as in like
clout, right?
Yeah. Clout, or like I don't mean in terms of like actual like physical things, money, or any. What I mean is like you're providing something to them that they lack. Like maybe it's, I'll be here to listen to you when you have something to say, or hey, let's play a game together.
Yeah, I also say like the value you provide is time and attention. Like, and anyone can give someone that, right? If they wish.
It's honestly the same thing with watching VTubers, right? It's like a lot of times people feel like, oh, I can't really contribute, I can't provide value to them because I don't have money or whatever, right? But that's really not. There's a lot that you can do besides that. that I'm pretty sure people will appreciate more.
Yeah, I hear that a lot from VTubers. It's like, they're very grateful for donations and stuff like that, but they love people just being there, talking to them, participating, even lurking, they just want people being there, right?
Dude, an active chatter is a godsend, really. Someone you can bounce off of and keep from dead airing.
I have a lot of respect to the people who are able to hold conversations with no one in chat for hours on end. Like I would probably go crazy. Like,
dude, that shit is so hard.
I mean, that's how we found the
fucking soul crushing. Yeah, that one chick.
Yeah. Right? Like, we were going through streams and we were like, okay, this person's not talking at all, and we find her, and she's like talking the whole time to like nobody. And we were like, holy shit, this person's like giving it their all.
Yeah, for a little bit of context, our listeners, we occasionally will go on Twitch and look at the sort by view count, look at the very, very low view count VTubers, and just see what they're see what people are doing. Just try to find like a diamond in the rough, or just try to check out things that we haven't seen before. But a lot of them have a ton of dead air, right? They just can't. They can't.
I saved my prime for that.
You save your prime for finding that one person.
I saved my prime for that one person that's like giving it their all with like nobody there.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, but you guys did ruin in a bit because nobody showed up to our subsequent streams.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
We did.
We literally watched last night.
Yeah.
That was last night. What about like the two weeks ago?
I'm busy.
I know you're busy.
I watch when I can.
Yeah.
Right.
I've watched a bunch of them. Gorilla. I don't know what you're talking about.
Go watch her now. She doesn't have one view. Which is what we saw, which is what she had when we were watching her.
Yeah. Well, you did rate her, so.
No, even before that, though.
Oh, yeah. But it's really nice when you see, like, we know some people who like to post VTubers with potential, and
I love watching that.
Yeah. I kind of miss like the Iron, like speaking of Iron, like I missed the Iron Mouse deep dives. I love the idea of it at the very least.
Yeah.
Like it might have become like in recent, times has kind of been warped by the, people manipulating it, but
yeah.
I definitely love the idea of it.
Wait, people are manipulating it? Wait, what happened?
Trying to
get themselves on there?
Yeah, trying to get themselves on there or
they'll have people like spam their replies to the thread and things like that and just try to
she's very biased as well, so she will bump her buddies or people that she know, and that's
as is her right.
That's to be expected.
Yeah, that's to be expected, so I'm not really like camping on that, but it's
everyone boosts their buddies. That's up.
Yeah.
Hey,
part of being someone's buddy.
Hey, we could have a Viewertown deep dive.
It's all audio.
No, wait, we have listeners. We have our YouTube channel, as well.
Wait, we have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel. It'll be in our
what the fuck?
And the podcast notes as well. We have a link to that on every episode, so you can check out our videos. Are also posted on YouTube, and we might also have some exclusive content there in the future.
Yeah.
What's the link?
Oh no, my shilling skills! I don't remember.
Holy fuck, Mightygerm.
It's just called. I don't think I have a special YouTube URL.
No, you don't get a special URL until you have a certain number of subscribers.
Yeah, it's Viewertown podcast on YouTube, but it will just check the link attached to this podcast, and it will send you right there.
Nice. We have fun to do, like a kind of.
Is that is that TOS though?
Is what
I know on Twitch you cannot watch. You technically cannot watch other people. I think same with YouTube.
Oh no, I'm sure you could do like a review show on there. I'm not talking about like a live stream on YouTube.
That's lame. I want to see it in the rough.
Please, we are not VTubers here. Well,
I don't know what that is.
We're content creators.
Yeah, we're content creators.
This guy always brings up that we're not VTubers every time I try to like do a content creating.
Seems a little bit suspicious. I feel like you're hiding something.
Yeah.
I have
Get his ass.
many projects, many irons in the fire, where I'm constantly working tirelessly for a Viewertown community. So
Girl, how long do you think before this guy gets a full ass model?
Well, maybe if you showed as much love to the podcast as you did these other projects, maybe we'd have viewers or listeners or anything.
We're a Viewertown with none of our own viewers.
Viewertown without viewers on it.
Oh man, no, we have
we
many
gotta
subscribers
stay,
on the YouTube channel now. Come on, we're inclining.
How many?
Please don't make me number poisoned about our listeners.
Nah, dude, let's just buy ads.
Yeah, I'm gonna start buying a podcast bot.
Mightygerm coming soon, the new arc.
Mightygerm.
I wonder, can you buy like a listener bot for your podcast?
Yeah.
Up the downloads.
Oh
man, yeah, but that's good. I mean, man, there's just so much to unpack on these subjects like this. Shoot, so I think we got through most of the major news things.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that,
yeah. The thing about the news, even though we talk a lot about it, but the fact of the matter is there's not much to talk about. People just getting uppity.
Well, and the problem is people are always getting uppity.
Yeah, people are always getting uppity, and
so
this isn't this isn't anything new, really. So,
yeah. but it provides good context to talk about other
different names.
Yeah,
many such stories.
Yeah, many such stories. I mean, there's tons of stuff we don't talk about too. Like a lot of it is just corporate announcements, right? There's a ton of new corps popping up. There's corps splitting up. There's talents moving in and out of various things as well. That's happening constantly.
How do you guys feel about that kind of stuff? What do you think the direction is of the direction corps are going to take in the next year?
Small corps, or
are you talking smaller ones? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which ones have pretty good traction? You think?
Face Connect is doing really well for the moment, anyways.
I would have to think about it because
honestly, I think that's kind of it. Because this is a little bit straying, but CyberLife had huge cuts recently. Prism Project, they're not really. They have too many members, and a lot of them don't do anything. Cinderia, same deal.
I don't know how much money these guys have.
They have a lot of money, a lot.
Are they got investors, or is it just single?
It's all
it's
crypto
a guy. Yeah, it's a crypto guy. Well, the interesting thing is that this is so tangent, but one of the moderators or staff members of Cinderia has said one time that the guy doesn't have enough money to hire her full time, but the Prism Project guys have said that they're in the red. So there's a lot of really inconsistent financial reports between all of them.
I really wonder, some of the books on these people, like at what point do these corps make money? Because the bigger ones obviously do, but I wonder.
Yeah, taking the actual, the actual players of the game out of the equation.
But if you're around this 100, 300 CCV, as a corp, are you making money?
No. I've heard stories that one of the guys just wants to help people, become a VTuber with a sizable audience and have fun streaming.
I think a lot of VTubers are terrible at monetizing.
I would agree.
Yep.
And I'm looking at some of the corps that you talked about, looking at some of their members, and there's a lot of the really kind of basic monetization things aren't really active. Because merch doesn't really make merch is kind of merch is half more a community thing than it is monetization.
Yeah, it's huge overhead, doesn't it?
Yeah, you don't really make merch for I'm gonna make the big bucks off of merch, or this is how I'm gonna sustain things. Merch is more a side thing that is good for your community to kind of build out your brand. and to have your community feel like, able to buy something that kind of connects them, like IRL to like what kind of IP that you have, right?
It's also probably much more better. It's probably more better money than, or not. It's probably better for the company than the talent themselves, as far as money goes.
Like people need to monetize better, and I feel like they need to find. There's a lot of there's a lot of upgrades that you can do for free, and it really blew my mind that some corps don't do it. Like for example, like you guys ever see like when they have a model and like it doesn't move right? There's something kind of fucked up with it, and they don't tune it. Their models.
No, they don't tune it.
Like I have like firsthand confirmation that people don't tune their models like for their talents, and I'm like, that's free.
Who usually does, like? I wonder, like the corporates have in-house people doing that, or they hire all that stuff out?
No, they get people.
I mean, a lot of times they just leave it to the VTubers, right? It's just like, here's the fucking model, like have at it, have fun.
Well, like this is the problem though, because we don't know what those contracts are like. We don't know what the insides are like. Like we don't know what goes on internally, and it's all so different between every single one of these groups. Because I know Nichisanji, they just give you a model and they give you like really basic things, and they're like, okay, make us money. Whereas Hololive is, again, from what I've heard, it's a lot more
like curated.
Yeah, they do their best to help you. But then you hear stories like Amelia does all their like their hardware, like their technical stuff.
You heard a lot of stories about this from Coco too.
Like, yeah, so like if they're not doing, like, how much are they helping, or how much are they? So it's just a lot of inconsistencies, and I can't imagine the smaller corps doing any better because they have less money. They have less money. They have less staff.
You have to be. I feel like when you start this, you got to be prepared to like really take a beating.
Yeah.
Like monetarily, you need to like have the money to keep that going.
Yeah.
I wonder if they have like an actual marketer on staff, like someone who is like a trained person who knows how to market stuff. Or
well, two of
you can learn even then.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, two CEOs. CEO of Phase Connect owned a lot of companies. He has presence with like marketing and stuff like that. And it shows. He's pretty good at like building his brand. That's why he's like on top. That's why Phase Connect, in my opinion, is like sitting on top right now. But then you got, I know the Prism project CEO is also some kind of marketer, and his like co-founder is they own the business together. So these guys have experience. It's I don't know. Just
also, yeah,
this landscape is just a lot more different, like honestly, because they did have a I don't know if this is public information or not, but I'm just gonna fucking say it. There were some reports of these guys saying like they didn't expect this to be much more interpersonal skills required than like business oriented.
Oh yeah, I mean,
so like they focus a lot on the business aspect, but it's falling apart because they can't
the internal
talents. Yeah, they can't keep their talents together.
They need to have a freaking therapist on retainer. Like I'm like unironic about these corporations. Like, yeah,
you think that game is real? The freaking streamer game?
Oh yeah, that game is.
Yeah, absolutely. You mean the needy streamer overload? Absolutely, 100%.
I've seen that shit happen live.
But yeah, like, yeah, imagine coming from the business world where people generally, act professional. I mean, like a lot of interpersonal stuff is needed in the business world as well, but this like dealing with a bunch of like 20 something year old,
even the most relatable ones, like the most relatable like VTuber like candidates are all gonna be like the audience, like a little bit like kind of not super good at being social. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and plus, especially when people inside the corporation start sniping at each other, I haven't heard many good things about like management and things, taking care of stuff like that. It's
They all hate each other.
yeah.
I always hear like, well, I don't always hear, but I do hear a lot of stories of people saying like, oh, management is useless, or people don't like XYZ. So it's just weird. And these people are young, and we talked earlier about like the mentally immaturity. So that just doesn't go away regardless. Even if you have like a quote unquote professional setting, it's all digital. These people don't have to meet other people. It's actually kind of messed up. Like you could be working in the same like corporation, and chances are it is very easy for you to never see the person. Like outside of like mandatory collaborations or whatever, but I can imagine people getting ghosted even within their own like
in their corporation. Yeah. Especially since, and this also like was interesting to me, like people in the corporation, these small indie ones, they're not going to grow at the same rate. Like often there's like one really big one.
No, they don't even grow at the same rate at the big ones.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a lot more.
But there's usually like a ton more, so it's like it's less pressure on individual.
You can get away with it, but it is still very obvious who are like the the face.
I mean, see, but like how could you not go Menhera if like you don't have a very strong mental fortitude? You go into it and you have like a group of like 5 people and you're doing terrible and the other person's doing really, really well.
Yeah.
And everyone's praising them for doing well and you just feel like shit all the time, right? How do you deal with that?
Like in the Nishisashi League, I don't know if you saw it, Laura, but one of the guys, he was just like posting walls of him being like sad and stuff, and it's like, damn, even you're making so much money and you still get affected.
Well, I mean, this is the inherent problem with this, right? Is if I can only make 10 views, once I'm at 10 views and I'll get affiliate, I'll feel really good. Then you get there and you're like, what if I want partner? You get there. Now I want 200 views. You get there. On and on and on. There's always people above you. You know?
Yeah. Well, I don't think his problems was that there was people above him. I think his problem just, I don't even remember what it was, but it was just like weird.
Like, how do you not be Menhera when you're being constantly judged?
Yeah,
on your CCV.
Yeah, your worth, your self-worth is like
attached. It's quantifiable.
Yeah, it's attached to that number.
Yeah. Well, but like the thing is, why don't you just? I think that's like a really bad way to look at it. Why don't you just figure out how to get better?
I mean, like, think about it though. You're working at like a burger shop, right? How do they determine if you're the best burger flipper? There's no way to know, right? Whereas constantly as a VTuber, as a content creator, there is a number that you can look at that literally tells you.
And the crazy thing about that, I guess there's like 2 things, because it's not only like a monetary thing, but it's also like a personal thing. Like people won't talk to you unless that number is, so big.
Yeah.
It's true. It's actually very true.
And also,
yeah, but like I don't know.
And I think this is the more way, like really quickly. I think the more insidious part of it is, it's not like in like many professions where you can work. If you like work harder, there's like a tangible like pathway to like increasing your skill or expertise or whatever, right? Increasing your CCV is not that simple, like straightforward, right?
It's not, no.
It's very nebulous, right? In terms of like what's going to get you more views. Well, people will tell you a million different things, but it's not like it's a science.
It's
right?
esoteric knowledge because like again, people don't want to tell you usually. Right.
Yeah.
It's like we were talking about before the stream. Like if Mr. Beast right now was like, I'm gonna make a new channel, I'm not gonna tell anybody that I'm Mr. Beast. He's gonna get that channel to like millions, like easily within like 6 months, because he has the esoteric knowledge. He admits that himself. Like if you watch this interview.
I don't know. My issue with like these internal issues is more so like
That's true.
yeah. It's more like like, I don't know. You see, if you were Mista and you see that Vox is doing better than you, shouldn't you like take that as like a motivator instead of just being like, oh, instead of feeling like Manhera about it or whatever.
I don't know if people have that mentality.
It's one thing if you just thrust it into the world on your like lonesome, like you get to affiliate and then you see all these big people and you're like, how am I gonna, handle all of this? But it's another thing where you have resources available to you for you to make that leap. For you to like actively get better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's
mental fortitude, really.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Hey, maybe in 5 years, some of these people will stop being whiny.
No, it's human condition.
Yeah, I stopped being whiny from 5 years ago.
Oh, you mean just like the general like maturity level of?
Yeah, like they get mature.
Just being exposed to it. It's like it's like a muscle, sort of, right? Like you gotta work on just getting dumpstered.
Yeah. Just shit on and then
builds character.
Stop caring.
Yeah. We're saying like struggle builds character, right?
It does.
Oh man.
It does. If somebody talks shit like to me, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't. It barely affects me. But that's because I got dumpstered so much.
Yeah. Damn, we really did kind of stray from.
Oh yeah, we're completely
not irrelevant though.
Yeah,
not relevant. It is kind of funny that we did talk about the we did end up talking about the stuff that we talked last episode, which was the internal like kind of ordeals.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost just kind of like an extension of like just like VTuber drama, different flavor. But I do like talking again about the underlying reality, because I think a lot of people don't get that.
Yeah, like all the like politicking.
Mm-hmm.
Which I do wonder how much politicking goes around in like Hololive and DG. Like there are probably people sucking up to management or staff or stuff like that.
And people do that in
every
job.
Yeah, people do that in every job, but it's like, I just want to know, I guess, because I'm nosy.
You're gonna become paparazzi, girl.
Hey, this is more interesting than their fucking streams. I'll tell you that much.
Oh.
Maybe they should bring this to on I almost said on TV, but on stream.
All right.
Gorilla's drama channel coming soon.
I like the teams. Yeah. He's gonna have a tabloid. When VTubers have a tabloid, we've officially jumped the shark.
Well, the funny thing is that like these guys are mentally immature, but they're also like very nobody's really like open with speaking their mind or stuff like that either. So just bad all around.
Just inexperience. I'm inexperienced too. Everyone's inexperienced. We're inexperienced in this podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, guess what? We fucked up enough times that we're starting to get to becoming a respectable product. I Mightygerm take full responsibility over this. But now that the conversation has come to everything being Mightygerm's fault, that might be time for us to wrap it up.
That.
Yeah,
that's the classic outro. Mm-hmm. Some things never change.
But thanks everyone. Thank to our listeners for.
Thank you, Laura, for being the first and final guest, because
no one else will.
After hearing this episode,
no. I think you had a great time, right, Laura? Wink, wink.
Yeah, I mean, let me know if you guys ever want me on again. Mm-hmm. If you do, I mean, maybe we're just like, oh fuck that Laura, that damn plug.
But yeah, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Don't promise things, people.
Do you actually do one every 2 weeks?